In this episode, we talk about things. Oh god, we're recording again. It's the OSMcast. Welcome, folks, to the OSMcast, your podcast for everything awesome. In case you've forgotten, I'm Basil.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Douglas.
And that's us. Look, I know it's been a while. It's not our fault. It was the yokai.
It's a little bit our fault.
It was all the yokai's fault, Kevin. We, much like Grunkle Stan, are obviously blameless for any bad things that have happened to us. It's the yokai.
Okay.
You know, Gravity Falls is kind of like a yokai show, but in America.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of.
No, I'm thinking about it.
Kind of, in a way.
I still think of it as baby's first cosmic horror story.
Well,
Aren't cosmic horrors kind of yokai? The sad part is, that's partially true.
Some yokai would totally be comfortable in the company of Eldritch Abominations,
yeah.
yes.
So what we're saying is, it's not our fault we haven't recorded in months. It's cosmic horrors.
Yay,
it's all their
cosmic
fault.
horrors.
But, even though it is totally in no way our fault that we were lackadaisical about recording 4 months, we still apologize. Our bads. It was the yokai.
You're bad.
It was totally the yokai.
I know it. Woo.
Buy Yokai Watch and fight yokai so we get our podcast out on time.
You know, it's that I even bought a yokai watch. I need to find some yokai. That's all there really is to it. So, anyway, we are the OSMcast, the podcast that talks about yokai and other things that we feel that are awesome. Anime, movies, TV shows, video games, whatever we like, you're gonna hear about it.
Maybe occasionally teapots.
That's
one of the things we like.
it's true. We're all about that tea.
Ah, delicious tea.
Where can you find us? Well, I like to think you already did because you're listening to us, but for whatever reason, podcasts always tell people where they can find us being whatever podcast you're listening to, and I see no reason why we should be different.
Try the interwebs to start.
Search for OSMcast. OSMcast. You could even add a .com. It'll just take you right to the website. Also on the website, there's things like you can leave comments in the comments section. You can leave us emails at awesomecast@gmail.com. I think we still have a working voicemail. I'm pretty sure we still have a working voicemail. But we love hearing back from everyone who does. It's a great feeling when it happens. Of course, you can always tell a friend. That would be great I'm pretty sure we at least have like 2 or 3 listeners. Folks, if you can just tell your friends, maybe we can start building the whole listenership up again. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
If you tell 2 friends and they tell 2 friends,
we'll have like 6 friends. It'll be great. And I'm down with that. So I guess we should quit dilly-and-dallying and let's get on to your Dragon Quest Minute. There's actually Dragon Quest news.
weird.
Really?
Like, while we were gone, they announced Dragon Quest XI.
Okay, Basil, admit it. The real reason that we remember to do podcasts is whenever you hear about some Dragon Quest news.
That's not true, because for the longest time, there was no news at all whatsoever. But this time, it's different.
Because in Japan, it's actually a popular series.
It is Dragon Questo Ibun.
Don't do that. That's terrible. Don't do that.
Yashitoki
Better.
O Moto Mete.
Oh, God.
Look, you have 2 options when I try to speak Japanese. that goddamn moon language I love so much, but I can't understand. It's either really pretentious or really bad. That's what you get. It apparently, supposedly, according to Wikipedia, translates to Dragon Quest XI in search of departed time. We'll see what that ends up being. More importantly, it's probably supposed to come out, at least in Japan, in 2016. And for the first time, I believe, ever, it's coming out on 2 different platforms, which is the 3DS and the PlayStation 4.
That's a weird pairing.
Like, what's really... Well, it gets weirder because the 2 different... It's going to be the exact same game as far as gameplay goes, but graphically, it uses 3 different distinct styles. The PS4 version is getting like a super crazy, nice, cel-shaded Unreal Engine 4 thing that straight up looks like Dragon Quest the anime, only nicer. And then the 3DS version, when you start the game, the top screen is this nice, super deformed, like 3D look that looks kind of like Dragon Quest IX did on steroids.
Mm-hmm.
And the bottom screen is 16-bit. It looks like they took like very similar tile sets from the Super Nintendo remakes of the first couple of Dragon Quest games.
Man.
So it still looks like an 8-bit game with a 16-bit depth of the graphics. And apparently when you start the game on the 3DS, you use the analog stick, it controls the character as if it was on the top screen, or the D-pad and controls the character on the bottom screen, if I understand it correctly. Now, eventually, you will have to choose which style you want to stick with overall. Although you can apparently switch it after you've chosen. But if you use the top screen, use the 3D stuff, the enemies will appear, and then you can sort of dodge a little bit, like you could in Dragon Quest IX. But if you use the 16-bit graphics, it's random encounters, like it was traditional Dragon Quest. Same thing with the battles. If you choose the 16-bit, you get that weird first-person look to the battles. Whereas if you do it on the top screen, or the 3D look, it looks more like, again, Dragon Quest IX, or I would think the Dragon Quest VII and 8 remakes that we never got because Square Enix hates me.
I had a parent whose kids were looking for Dragon Quest VIII. It broke my heart a little bit to tell them it wasn't coming out. It just didn't come out in the U.S.
Yeah, it breaks my heart too, Kevin. It breaks my heart too. But you can lead them to another Dragon Quest game, which brings us to our moments of awesome.
It's a moment of awesome.
Dragon Quest Heroes, The World Tree's Woe, and The Blight Below.
Oh, a.k.a. Dynasty Warriors Dragon Quest.
A.k.a. Dynasty Warriors.
Dynasty
Muso.
Oh, I want Dynasty Wario. Make Dynasty Wario.
That's cool. I'm down with that. I might even buy that Nintendo. Think about it. But no, we're talking about Dragon Quest Heroes, which is pretty much Dynasty Warriors Dragon Quest, which is the best thing you could do to Dynasty Warriors that I could think of.
To be fair, they do their damnness to make it feel like a Dragon Quest game in every way except the combat.
Yeah, the sound effects are all correct. When you beat a level, it gives you that whoop.
Yeah.
Like the thing, when you level up, you get it. You know, it's all the sound effects are all correct. When you heal and get an item, it's the right thing. They do all the translation sounds like Dragon Quest translation. I don't know what the voices are like because I switched to Japanese voices because I'm a horrible Japanophile.
Ditto.
But you can buy weapons and armor and equip and you level up and it's pretty fun. The only thing I wish it kind of had was possibly multiplayer since it is a Dynasty Warriors style game, but the sequel will have it, so awesome. I did kind of like the opening cutscene where humans and monsters are living together in perfect harmony. Except that, oh god, the monsters are now raging. We have to now kill all the monsters. And people are actually kind of like, what's going on? They were our friends.
Yeah.
This sucks.
Oh no. I like the dynamic between the male and female heroes, where the male hero is super analytical and this is okay. Here's the plan first, and he's like got like these 20-step plans, and the female hero is just like, "Fuck that noise. We're going and kill some shit," and they do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she knows how Dynasty Warrior games are played.
Yeah, apparently.
Like, he's thinking back when it was like Romance the Three Kingdoms, Koei.
He's the wrong Koei game.
Whereas she's like, no, I know how this works, guys. I take my sword and I whack at those slimes and those ogres and those golems. They will eventually fall down. I'll hear whoop, and we're done.
It also even adds in an element where you can, use monsters to help you out, and that's kind of like some of the Dragon Quests let you collect a little monster team. It was kind of cool.
And you also get, other Dragon Quest main characters that you get to tag along, and you can choose as optional fighters like Bianca and
Princess Face Punch.
Elena,
yeah. I love Elena. Like, she's seriously got the bare-fisted monk thing going on, and I like that.
Oh yeah, she's and she's now, of course, Russian because that's how they.
Yeah.
That's how they translate her in Dragon Quest IV.
Her little bodyguard buddy with the spear, and it's all good. It's all good. You meet a lot of classic Dragon Quest heroes, and it's way more fun than it's any right to be, and way more fun than I've had with one of the little Dynasty Warrior spin-off games.
Yep. It's really, really good. And this has been your Dragon Quest Minute. So I've got another game I want to talk about, but I think, Kevin, you have an Android game you've been playing.
Maybe. Well, okay, enough that, since the time we've been... Boy, I'm kind of in, much like Final Fantasy, I'm kind of in a holding pattern with that until we get new story content.
But until then, we've been playing Fate Stay Whatever it is.
Fate Grand Order.
Yeah.
Thank you to people on the internet who will remain nameless.
Alan Mendez?
Yeah, who made me realize I could be playing it pretty easily with an emulator, even though I don't have a smartphone. To be fair, and actually since I found this little emulator, I've dabbled in a few other smartphone games, and I'm kind of leaning towards that Fate Grand Order is one of the better ones. Because it actually has a story.
So what is this Fate Order Grand thing?
Well, it's basically sort of a Fate Stay Night role-playing game where you create a little team of servants or mytho-historical figures. Pretty much all the classic ones from Fate Stay Night are in there. Most of the ones from Fate Zero are in there or are soon to be in there, and an assortment of other original characters or from other lesser-known spin-off games. You kind of have a little team of 3, and you fight enemies. But it actually has a little story stage where you go through several different points in history, fighting stuff, until you get a Holy Grail, and then you move on to the next time period. While you hoard the little things that you summon more servants, so you can hope to maybe get somebody awesome, and then cry when you don't, and think, maybe I should spend just a little bit of real money on this, and then you grab your hand and go, no, bad hand, no real money spending. But you might do it anyways, just once to, try one more time.
So, Mr. Alan Mendez did ask on Twitter, who's your favorite character?
Oh, yeah, that is a hard one, but and I was really happy that I did get her, because one of the ones I really wanted was the Saber from Fate Extra, who is really Nero, who is pretty awesome, and it's I'm kind of running with a Nero, Cucullin Lancer, and whatever friendly helper person is in the pick a friend screen. Often Vlad the Impaler. But definitely really like Nero, and also bizarrely like the Chevalier de Aeon and his/her sort of quantum gender uncertainty principle. But no, definitely Nero. Nero is awesome. I'd kind of like to have classic Saber, but I probably can't hope to roll like 2 awesome Sabers.
Well, there you go. You know what you can roll with, though, on your Vita is a PSP game in the year of our Lord, 2015, because XC just released Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky 2nd Chapter, or SC. Now, if you may remember, way back in 2011, the first Trails in the Sky was my favorite game of that year. It came out on the PSP. It existed. It was a PSP RPG. It's got a sort of almost a Miyazaki, Nadia, Secret Blue Water art aesthetic.
Yeah, sort of see that, yeah.
And this sequel picks up right where the last one left off. Like, literally day 2. Like, the first game ends on this horrendous cliffhanger, where suddenly your mission has a whole new trajectory than you were originally planning. And day 2 happens, and the main character, Estelle, has to come to terms with these things. And before, in the first game, she was a very bright, super energetic, Genki girl sort of shonen hero. That was a heroine. And in this one, she feels a little bit more tempered, where things have hit the fan, and she is now kind of growing because of that. So, character growth, that's a thing. You start at level 35, and you have all your skills that you started with from the first game.
You can understand if you import your save, you're exactly what level you got to.
So, but the game really does feel like it's just continuing on.
Yeah.
Like, it really does feel like this is just a continuation of the game. Now, I am partially happy that I'm getting to play this since it's been a while since I played the first one. But I'm also kind of sad, because I'm sad because it doesn't explain anything. The game just keeps going. So you're meeting all these characters, and I still go, oh man, it's really great to see. It's been a while, hasn't it? And then I go, yeah, it's been a while. Maybe I need to look up who this person was. It has been like 4 years. And it really should have come out like in a year. So I'm kind of rusty. But on the other hand, a lot of the locales right now are the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's eventually going to go into whole new areas completely. But right now, I'm still trucking in the local areas I played in the first one. Where the first one, you were more or less, it's in this kingdom of liberal, or how do you pronounce these? I don't know words.
Well, they didn't make a liberal news joke in the first game.
Yeah.
So maybe it is liberal.
So, but you're more or less, it's a kingdom with a bunch of like towns all around it, and you're running around visiting all these towns, learning to be a bracer who is more or less a troubleshooter. Like a worldwide, accepted troubleshooter organization.
If Dirty Pairs 3WA existed in a magical fantasy land.
With a little less random destruction. I mean, there's still a little bit. There's still a little bit, but, not as much as Dirty Pair. Come on.
I say this like I've played through the first game. I'm honestly working on about my 5th attempt to play through the first game.
Which I don't get. I don't get that. I did not realize I've already spent 15 hours in this game, in the sequel. I did not realize it. I thought I spent like 4.
Part of me is tempted to just try to jump and give 2 a shot, but just kind of get 1 summarized. But that's all. The stubborn part of me refuses to just jump into a second game that is a literal direct sequel without playing through the first game.
Now, are you trying this again on your Vita, or are you doing the
Vita
Steam version? Okay, because it's also all on Steam, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah,
not really, because Falcom, the developer, has always done PC stuff.
Yeah, but see, I went out and bought it. The weird part is it's like on 2 discs, except it's only digital, so it's 2 separate game files.
Yeah. Well, apparently that's something they had to work on.
Yeah.
And that's really the reason why one of the reasons that we never got it in the US originally was because it was 2 discs. And the Vita the PSP was kind of dead to begin with when the first one came out.
Yeah.
They know how, XE doesn't have the money to produce a 2 UMD disc game. But they were eventually able to figure out how to make it work as a download. That, and one of the people, there's like more words in this game than like Shakespeare. And so it's a really huge, mammoth game to translate. So much so that one of the guys that was working on the translation, it helped, I don't know if it drove him to depression, but it really didn't help him. And eventually he had to go, I'm sorry, XC, here's what I worked on. I'm out. I'm out. This game is too mammoth for me.
So if you want to drive a translator completely insane, buy lots of copies of this so they release the third game.
Please do, so 'cause I want to play it. I really do. I really do. It's got this great new character named Kevin Graham, who's this priest who's really bad, but also really good at being a priest. He's really all about his kicking sneakers, and he's this horrible flirt. But he knows that he's a priest, so he's never going to actually get, like, reciprocated, which means he can flirt even more.
Yeah, so, and he's named Kevin, which is a pretty awesome name. Just saying.
And I hear that apparently the third game, he's actually the main star of it than Estelle is, so that's kind of neat. Yeah, that weirdest thing about this game, y'all, is that for the first several hours of this game, it's pretty much just been 2 female characters running around with. That's not only rare in video games, but it's especially rare for, like, Japanese role-playing games.
Yeah. I've only seen that happen in half-finished RPG Maker games I'll never complete.
Admittedly, after the first, like, training area, you eventually can pick, like, a female buddy or a male buddy. I chose a female buddy because she's cooler. She likes to dance around and get everyone drunk because she's pretty great. But yeah, and so it's man, I love the Trail series. Like, the combat system is super fun. It's kind of got this weird, like, Grandia / Chrono Trigger design to it.
Yeah, I like the gameplay.
You move around on the thing, and as you choose your abilities, and you have, like, a limit break, but you can actually spend your limit break points before you fully charge it up to do other things, but you also have MP to do your magic stuff, and how you place yourself on the map determines on what abilities will work where. It's great. It's good stuff.
Yeah, this just reminds me, though, is because I know we don't have the biggest viewer audience-ship, listener, or whatever, but y'all guys need to go on Indiegogo and fund Indivisible from the people who made Skullgirls, because it's the spiritual sequel to Valkyrie Profile, and it needs to get made. I don't think it's going to get funded, but come on, let's give it a shot.
Let's see. When does that thing end?
10 days or something. They put a prototype demo out on the PlayStation Store and for PC, and it was really fun. I would really like to see this game get made.
Yeah, it's got 10 days left as of this recording.
Well, it got about $150,000 more than the last time I looked, but they're barely a third of the way where they want to be.
God, they really should not have went to Indiegogo.
They probably should have kickstarted this.
I really feel they should have kickstarted it. I think they would have done much better. I believe that the Lab Zero.
Mm-hmm.
They also did. They did Skullgirls, and I believe they did their Skullgirls stuff at Indiegogo.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they went back to Indiegogo. But I really feel when you do something at this kind of budget, Kickstarter just has way more cachet for people to actually give you money for stuff that Indiegogo does.
I love the kind of the Valkyrie Profile inspired gameplay and the weird Southeast Asian themed and Indian Kamen Rider parody and the giant Amazon chick who shoots spears out of a bow idea. It's like, this game needs to be made.
You know what, Kevin? I have yet to fund this. I'm going to go home tonight. And I'm going to throw in my $20, whatever it is, to get the basic game.
Yeah.
I will do you that solid. It may not mean anything, because it may not get done.
It probably won't, but...
you've sold me on this game. Is the demo still up on the PlayStation Store?
Yeah, it just came up, yesterday, for my perspective. Oh boy, by the time this goes up, I wonder if this Indiegogo thing might not even exist.
No, this thing, theoretically, this will go up on Monday, theoretically, and there'll be 2 or 3 days left.
Yeah, there's probably about 40-50 minutes of actual gameplay in the demo if you play it once. And there's not any real story, it's just more to show off the combat system and the maneuvering the dungeon. But it was fun. I played it over again shortly after I played through it.
So we might have an effect. We'll see. So, Doug, what's your moment of awesome?
Okay, I'm going to need your help. I know that there were many, many things that I thought of between now and the last time that we recorded, that I kept saying, oh, this was going to be my next moment of awesome, and this is going to be my next moment of awesome. And I'm blanking on all of them now because there were so many of them. And unfortunately, if you don't tell me, I'm going to start talking about red pandas.
Of course you are. That was a bad hole you threw yourself in right before we started recording.
I know.
I need to close your laptop again.
No, you don't need to close my laptop again. Just, I'm good. I'm just...
God, now I'm trying to think of things.
Because I know there were a bunch that I kept going. And I want that to be my moment of awesome.
Yeah.
Red pandas. No.
I
Besides
mean,
red pandas.
I don't know if it was one of those, but I think in between us recording, we eventually started watching all of Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Well, we're going to have that as
an actual
Yeah,
thing.
we're going to do
Episode.
spoilers. There will be a Rick and Morty podcast at some point.
Poor Anna.
Just like there'll be a Build Fighters podcast at some point.
Oh, yeah. God, we still need to do Build Fighters. You're right. Oh, man. Nico's probably screaming at us saying, God, you guys! You've had so many chances!
Get on it.
Oh, yeah, we need to.
You like things.
I like lots of things. I'm a very positive person.
Teacups. No. Renaissance fairs. Mary Kay conventions. I don't know. I'm throwing out
Don't
random
make
shit.
me give you looks.
Was it Canadians and their dislike of pressing buttons?
That might be it.
Canadians, yes.
Okay.
Canadians and buttons.
Okay, this isn't necessarily a moment of awesome, but I think it'll fit in right here, because I wanted to, commit this to something. But it is an observation about Canada that I don't think many other Americans have made. So, when I was in Canada, I noticed that Canadians, apparently, don't like to push buttons. I don't mean keypads. They seem to be just fine pressing keypads. But I saw plenty of Canadians using, computers. I saw plenty of Canadians, when you go to the restaurant and you put in your card, they have little things. So, no, keypads are fine. They can operate a keypad. But for some reason, all of Ottawa did not want to, press a button. It happened numerous times as I was walking from one location to one location in downtown Ottawa that I'd get to an intersection and a large group of Canadians would be up ahead of me and none of them would press the I would like to cross the street button. I don't know what it is. I would not be the first one up there. It would not change. It would go through a whole cycle and I would have to go press the button because none of the Canadians pressed the button. Or I would get on an elevator to go somewhere. And as soon as I got in the elevator, I did the American thing and I pushed my button of where I was going to go. And then I stepped back to let other people press their buttons. And none of them would. They just got on the elevator. One time, I looked and I asked the guy, oh, are you going to the 4th floor too? And he's like, oh no, I'm going to the 5th. But he hadn't pressed the button and the elevator was moving.
Weird.
I know! Ugh.
Canadians, right?
I know. And so my takeaway from this was apparently just Canadians don't like to press buttons. There was a cafe that had both a self-serve coffee machine and a person behind the counter. All the Canadians went to the person behind the counter. But you could just go and press a button and you just got coffee. You didn't have to.
Guess they just like that human touch. I myself prefer robots, but...
My theory actually came down to the fact that they're so polite that they don't want to press the buttons. Because, you get in the elevator, perhaps it was it was my Americanness that told me to just go up and press the button and step back. Whereas perhaps the etiquette elsewhere is that if I stepped in first, I should automatically have asked. I don't know. And I thought that perhaps the thing with on the street with them not pressing the crosswalk buttons might come from, a lot of people get offended if you press the button, if they press the button, then you come up and press it after them. So maybe they weren't wanting to offend anybody.
Maybe.
This is my only theory for why they wouldn't like to press buttons.
Those super polite bastards.
I know!
Canadians.
Oh, I like Canada okay, really. But
Whatever. I've heard it's not even Dragon Quest when you go up there.
I know.
What?
It's not even Dragon Quest when you go to Canada. It's like,
Huh? What?
The South Park video game.
Oh.
As soon as you cross the border, it does not automatically turn into a top-down RPG.
No, it did not turn down into a top-down RPG. I was actually, when I got off the plane, expecting to hear, like, the 8-bit stereo version of O Canada. And I did not get that. I did get a very nice gentleman who welcomed me to Canada, but...
No 8-bit O Canada theme. You lied to me, South Park Stick of Truth.
Let's see.
Because everything else in that game is so 100% accurate to real life.
Well, we also do got some questions.
Okay.
Questions?
From
What the
internet
hell?
listeners like you. Yeah, from Twitter. I solicited, and honestly, I got one that's about our topic, which is the Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward, which I'll save for Mr. Mendez, but all the other ones are sort of just in general ones that I asked for. So I think right now would be a good time to cover all of them.
Okay.
So, Alan Mendez at Hisui RT asks, are you guys watching anything from the current season? Anime, American TV, or other?
Yes.
I'm watching Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky, second chapter.
It's not any of the things.
I guess it's other, sort of.
It's not... Mm.
I am watching my sports anime. Mostly Ace of Diamond is the big one. I'm also keeping up with Ushio and Tora. I need to keep watching Haikyuu and One Punch Man.
Yeah. I got me some Gundam. Got me some One Punch Man.
Gundam, I also need to watch Blood Orphans.
Yeah. Fafnir, which is becoming everly complex and inhospitable to new viewers.
But Kevin, I'm such a casual when it comes to Gundam.
Yeah, I know.
Filthy
Okay.
casual.
Yeah.
I don't know. The show I'm probably most surprised and maybe a little embarrassed I'm watching is Valkyrie Drive. Because it's honestly horrible, but it's like wall-to-wall Yuri fan service and lesbian sword fighting. With actual lesbian swords.
I'm continuing to watch Toei Animation reads One Piece at me. I'm continuing to watch that.
But it's so, I'm not sure how to feel about that, because you're still reading it.
I know,
There's
right?
still subtitles.
I don't read the subtitles anymore.
Okay.
No, not with One Piece. Their language is simplistic enough, and I know the characters long enough, and I've been following it long enough that even if the subtitles aren't there, I still kind of know what they said.
Mm.
And my Japanese, I repeat, is not great.
Although apparently a show that I really need to be watching, and I really need to get started watching, Osamatsu-san. Apparently, while we were recording, it turns out that apparently their parody hewn so close to whatever they're parodying, they're having to not release the first episode on home video, and they're apparently about to take the episode down from streaming.
Huh.
So, I think when we're done, I might have to go home and see if I can still watch some Osamatsu-san. Because that's crazy. I've never heard of a show suddenly being taken down from, streaming and, no video release and stuff just because... Yeah.
Yep.
Other things I've been watching, well, the Daily Show Trevor Noah has started. And I've been keeping up with that.
Yeah.
So how do you think Trevor Noah's doing?
I think he's doing fine.
Well, yeah, I'm just warming up to him more and more as it goes. I first saw Trevor Noah, and I'm not sure about this guy. And even by the end of the first episode, I'm like, okay, this is kind of funny. This is it's shaky, but he's okay. He's okay. And then I've kind of fallen in love with him at this point. He's pretty awesome.
My initial reaction to him was, in fact, well, he's no Jon Stewart. But then again, my initial reaction to Jon Stewart was he's no Craig Kilborn.
Yeah.
And as it turns out, it's very grateful that he wasn't Craig Kilborn. So
yeah, Noah's got his own thing going, and it seems to be working for him.
Now, we were talking, Basil, about Trevor Noah seems to be doing his own thing, and it seems like the more he tries to become his own thing rather than a Jon Stewart stand-in, it seems like Larry Wilmore is actually becoming the new
sort of the more Jon Stewart, like,
Yeah.
you know,
of the ones
trustee, or you know,
Mhm.
he sort of inherited that style. Like his Trevor Noah still feels very much like a stand-up comedian who just happens to be sitting down, whereas Jon Stewart was very much a sit-down comedian.
Yes.
Like that's where he really started to excel, when he really accepted being a sit-down comedian, which I think Trevor Noah is still finding his way through, but I think Larry Wilmore really understands, which makes sense. I mean, he's been a long-term, you know, reoccurring guy on the Daily Show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, his show's being produced by Jon Stewart's company, you know, Busboy. So it makes a lot of sense that he would sort of be the secret heir apparent that no one really realized that's what he was. And also, they've toned down their panels, and they're doing way more bits. And I'm not sure how much I like the bits or not. Where he always, like, you know, he's got like 2 or 3 comedians that he works with.
Yeah, they
And
have.
they're doing their own, like, crazy little, you know, where he's interviewing some random person but actually it's a caricature.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not bad, but I'm not sure how much I'm a fan of it. It mostly might have been because during, you know, the guy who everyone liked to call the Wizard during the Democratic, you know...
Yeah, I really wish
thing.
they had actually gotten the guy instead of it just being, like, a joke.
A joke, right. And I almost felt that Larry Wilmore could pull that off. But no. I'm trying to think of what else we've been watching.
You know, superhero shows.
Yeah, but keeping up with, you know, Arrow, The Flash. Liking those.
Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., even goddamn Gotham.
Man, I don't know about... Did you just watch the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where it's all on, like, the weird planet? That was a good episode.
Yeah.
That was a really good episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is weird. It's still kind of back and forth on episode quality.
I don't know, I felt this season so far has been way stronger than previous ones. Like, it seems that they're finally, you know... But anyways, let's see what else we got for questions. Let's see, did that one... Okay, so... Our favorite person... PT!
The hell?
Or at Passion Tentacle.
Oh, okay.
Ruby.
Yes.
Asks, okay, you're a farmer, and you take your chicken, a fox, and a bag of wheat across the river. You can only take one at a time. If you leave the chicken alone with the seed, the chicken will eat the seed. Same goes for the chicken if you leave it alone with the fox. So what order do you take the chicken, seed, and fox?
Fox seed chicken. Yeah.
No, you take the chicken first, because the fox won't eat the seeds, so you take the chicken. And then it doesn't matter if you take the chicken or if you take the fox or the...
Well, it works too.
seed.
You leave the fox alone, take the seed. No, wait, yeah, you're right. Never mind. Yeah, chicken.
Yeah,
Chicken
there's only
and
one
fox.
you can take.
Wait. But if you take the chicken, then the fox eats the chicken while you're getting the seed.
No, you're taking the chicken.
No, what Kevin's saying is that you do have to take it in order of chicken. Oh, well, he's right, because if you take chicken, seed, fox, while you're getting the fox, that's when the chicken eats the seed.
Oh, I see. You see, I was still thinking in Minecraft where you take them and you would be putting them clearly in their designated pit so that you could breed them and then drop the babies down and then stabinate the babies in lava.
Man.
Like you do.
Minecraft, where you can cultivate seed that way. You just...
Well, you don't do
they
that
just
to the
reproduce.
seed. Like, you would clearly take the chicken and then the fox and then the seed. But, I mean,
But
I'm anticipating that the cages would already be prepared on
if
the
you
other
don't
side.
have
Because why were you
cages-
taking them anywhere in the first place if you didn't have a place to put them?
yeah, but if the same unsupervised problem exists on the other side, then that fox can eat the chicken while you're getting the seed. Or, yeah.
The other question is, why do you have a fox, as they are wild animals?
Yeah, why do we have a fox?
They're cute and adorable.
They're not as adorable as red pandas.
That was not in the question.
But I think it should be.
Maybe you take the chicken, then you get the seed, and you realize, why the fuck do I need that fox? And you go on about your business.
Yeah, exactly. What the fuck do I have a fox for?
I mean, they're cute and all, but they're going to eat my chicken.
Yeah. Generally, you want to keep the fox out of the chicken and not, like, take it over to make it easier for the fox.
I don't really...
Or maybe you just really hate that chicken, in which case, fuck the chicken, just take the seed over, and then come back for your fox.
Maybe I take the fox and find another fox and start breeding foxes that are gradually friendlier towards humans for expensive pets.
Mm-hmm. But they still haven't done a scientific survey on the vaccine that would be admissible in court. So if your fox bites somebody, it's going to be put down. Like, even though the vaccine for dogs probably works, and every vet will tell you that it's going to work, they still haven't done, like, an actual study of it.
Because that would require money. And
yeah.
That's expensive. And so, in other words, dump all of them, get red pandas.
Yes.
A superior panda.
Well, yes, they're going to survive.
Or I don't understand why you can't pick up the seed, put that in your inventory, and then hold it in your hand in order to lure the chicken across the little land bridge that you've made.
I don't think this is in Minecraft. Because if I were here, I couldn't play it because it's
why
Minecraft.
would you be crossing a river then with chicken and seeds and a fox?
What if you can do this in No Man's Sky?
Oh my god, that's an excellent question.
I think there's also a game called like Boundless, which also looks like a procedural, like first person wander around on your PS4 in a sort of Minecraft like world. Like, man, we're gonna. I swear, like man, in June when No Man's Sky comes out, we're gonna have issues. Because I'm gonna still need art for HammerCon.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be working on that right now instead of looking at pictures of red pandas.
And Basil's gonna be like, Kevin, you need to help me encourage Doug to draw art, and I'll be like, too busy playing No Man's Sky.
I am leaving Etsy and going to Google to look at pictures of red pandas because now, like, I'm sitting here trying to, like, I'm taking note of all the actual, like, physical attributes so that I can recreate that with yarn.
So anyways,
Pandas.
Vinny asks, where does the god of calzones live? Where does the god of stromboli live?
Utah and Idaho, respectively.
But there are more yokai than taters in Idaho. Does that change anything?
No. If anything, it makes my answers even more relevant. Somehow.
Well, sadly, I can't ask Doug.
Well,
Doug is way too entranced.
I just went to Google to look up pictures of red pandas, and they are so cute. It's just crazy. No, don't close the laptop down. Okay, I'm going to take a shot at back up what Kevin's saying, okay? If there's more yokai in an area, that is kind of implying that the area is going to be more spiritually active, which is going to happen especially if you have a large gathering of gods, or at least a god. So, yeah, if there are more yokai than potatoes in Idaho, then they've clearly got a god of some sort or other. I would kind of expect it would be the god of potatoes, but...
Could be the god of stromboli.
Oh, it could be. It could be that there's the god of potatoes and the god of stromboli there, and the presence of so many deities is creating, like, a spiritual vortex, hence the presence of yokai.
Okay, so, the god stromboli, he needs 3 things. Fox, chicken, seed.
He doesn't need those things.
But there's a river separating you and the god. So, what order do you... Okay, sure.
Trick question, it's a god, so he can just destroy them and recreate them over on his side.
What does God need with a starship? Of course, no one has questioned why I assert the god of calzones is in Utah. But we'll let that roll.
Would we...
Yeah, okay, good. That all seemed to make sense to everyone. Okay.
All right. Questions asked. We've had our moments. They were awesome. What we're talking about tonight, it's not a Telltale game. It is a video game. It's MMO. You may have noticed we did not do a Final Fantasy XIV Rebelborn Minute. Those are over. From now on, there'll be Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward Minutes. But because it's been so long since we've done any of those minutes, there's so much to talk about. We're just going to cover all the major stuff now after this break.
Children of the land, do you hear echoes of truths that once rang clear? Two souls intertwined, one true love they did find, bringing land and heavens near. But flames that burned full bright soon fell dark. Memories dimmed by shadowed hearts. In the waxing gloom did wane the lover's moon, watching as their worlds drift apart.
So now this is your Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward podcast. So we had an expansion come out this year.
Mm-hmm.
It came out in June.
Yeah.
Right before we had HamaCon that we had to work on.
Yep.
And help put on and stuff. It was like the worst time for an expansion to come out.
Mm-hmm.
The next major patch for it, the first real major patch since the expansion, of course, comes out the Tuesday before we have our HamaCon minicon. Because Square Enix hates us. Or loves us, just doesn't know how to correctly give it to us. Square Enix is a cat, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Square Enix is the Makote. Even though Yoshi P, the major producer, director guy, he usually prefers to play as Lalfels. Because he understands what's actually good in this world.
Do you want me to share my Lalafell hate or keep it in for now?
Lalafels are great. I don't know what your problem is. It's not like going to the land of horrible elves.
Okay, okay. You've thrown down, so now I have to throw down.
Oh, no.
Okay, my hate on Lalafell is not actually on the race. True, whenever they need a super evil character, for some reason they pick a Lalafell, but there are also plenty of good Lalafell throughout the story.
Allegedly.
No, there are. There are plenty of good Lalafell. The real problem with the Lalafell isn't the fact that they are the small, cute race. It is the fact that the vast majority of Lalafell players are using them specifically to troll people. Like, if you get trolled by someone, they are much more likely to be a Lalafell than anything else. It's just like bad players are much more likely to be Makote than anything else. It's a stereotype that doesn't actually apply to every individual that you meet, but there seems to be enough of it happening that these biases are forming.
It's like the Rogadins you meet are awesome, excellent people.
No, actually. Playing as a Lalafell, whenever I do get trolled, it's never by other Lalafells. It does tend to be, well, not always, it's a lot of Rogans, but not all the Rogans. Some of the Seth Rogans. But, yeah, I usually get way more being a victim of trolling than trolled.
It's because so many Lalafell troll that people have now taken the opposite reaction and trolled them.
I really feel this is some weird statement on problems with race in America somehow. But I really don't want to go that deep into it. Because we're not talking about it. We're talking about Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward, the expansion.
All I know is if I'm president, I'm going to build a wall around Limsila Minsa to keep all the Lalafell out.
And you're going to make old Doll pay for it.
Yeah.
But half the people who work in Limsa are...
Don't put logic to this, Basil!
Trump puts no logic in his thoughts. We put no logic in my thoughts.
So, anyways, previously in Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn, the last set of patches hit with it ended on a cliffhanger. You were found wanted for a crime you did not commit, and you had to hightail it over to Ishgard, over to Heavensward.
Fucking Ishgard.
Because the elves could, or sorry, not the elves. What are they called in this?
Elves. The Elvon.
The Elvons? Yeah.
They're elves.
And the Pope.
The Elf Pope.
Goddamn Pope. Goddamn Elf Pope.
Do not trust the Elf Pope.
Anytime you see an elf pope in any media, you should just know, just right away, he is not to be trusted because he is an elf pope. He is the pope among elves.
I'm pretty sure in 80% of anything that comes from Japan, if you see anyone who even resembles the Pope, you probably should not trust them. There's some deep-seated Jesuit hate there from back in the 13th century, and I think it carries on till to this day.
So, in the backstory of Final Fantasy XIV, dragons can be jerks. And they could wage war upon humanity and ruin all life as we know it. But that was because humans, and by humans I mean all the crazy races in 14, whether it's Hyers or Lalafels or Mikote or what have you, have also been jerks to dragons in kind. And this big war is known as the Dragon Song War, which primarily does involve the dragons and Ishgard. And so the major plot thrust of 14's Heavensward's storyline, at least right now, is this quest for you to learn more about the Dragon Song War. And while you're doing that, events that are happening in the current timeline sort of puts everything and casts different shadows, and different political plays are made, and it's actually really well done. Like, I always had to tell people that one of the best Final Fantasy stories that's ever been told is a story of Final Fantasy XIV, since they did A Realm Reborn, and Heavensward just keeps it on going.
Oh, yeah, oh man, if you thought that A Realm Reborn had a good plot line, Heavensward's plot line is just amazing. Shiva comes in as a temporary character, it does this weird thing where you kind of have a little bit of a classic Final Fantasy party.
Yeah, where it's like it's your character, and then you have
Alphino.
Alphino, who is
the worst healer ever.
Of course, he is actually an Arcanist, so...
He's the worst healer ever! Oh my god, his AI is so bad!
But so you have Alphino, who's been one of your Scion buddies.
Mm-hmm.
You also get this cool Dragoon elf guy. And you also get Isolde, who is also the other Elvon lady who can turn herself into Shiva.
Yeah.
And y'all are on this quest to go learn more about the Dragon Song War to try and broker peace between Ishgard and the dragons.
And boy, that's not an easy task.
It is not.
In fact, we're waiting for the first patch to come out, which the way Final Fantasy XIV does its patches, does its major patches, they're sort of like little mini expansions between each major expansion.
Yeah, that was always really neat. And what they do is, we feel like we can talk about this as its own episode, because this game has a opening sequence. It has a plot. You go through the plot. You fight a boss. The game, essentially, the storyline ends at that point. You get a long ass credit scroll, and then a stinger to keep you going after you're done with the storyline, because there's going to be more storyline later. And they're going to keep giving us these giganto patches until they're ready to release the next expansion, in which case it'll end once again with another credit scroll. Like, these are very much, it's almost like watching or playing, like, seasons in a TV show.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot like that. And let's see. Currently, I don't think we know if our efforts have worked to end the Dragonsong War or not.
Well, I don't want to get too much into the plotline because I still feel we can do a small spoiler section.
Okay.
Because again, this is a story.
Yeah.
There are, in fact, spoilers to talk about.
There are a ton of spoilers to talk about. In fact, if you didn't rush through to complete the storyline in the first couple of days, it got increasingly more difficult to keep from giving spoilers out to people.
Yeah, but but in the story, it is really obvious that when they first did Final Fantasy XIV Realm Reborn, they had a lot of pressure to do the storyline, but they're under pressure to do everything else. They're building pretty much an entire game from scratch in like a year or two.
Yep.
Of the scale of 14, that's really, really big. Heavensward, they had way more of a chance to really take their time, really plot things out, and you get this really well done, pretty tightly knit story about this area, and you occasionally will get more overarching bits here and there. But it's good, y'all. It's good, and man, I wish more people would play. Why don't you all play? Why don't you play? But there's also, while you're doing this, there are tons of quests to do. There are plenty of all brand new dungeons. The music in this game is wonderful.
I find myself just humming the main theme a lot.
And this one also was, they had the same composer who also did a lot of work in 14. Sosin?
I don't know. That's not a thing I know.
Gosh, what is his... Soken. It is Soken. It is Masayoshi Soken.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he made a really, really awesome theme. I think the theme also might have been worked on in conjunction with, Uematsu.
Well, it does do a thing that they did back in Chrono Trigger, where, you go from zone, and the zone will have a slightly different musical feel than some of the other zones. But if you really listen and you really pay attention to the music, you realize that it's the same theme that you've been hearing. It's just remixed.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're hearing different aspects of it, and it sounds absolutely gorgeous this way, whereas it sounds a little bit more, like
melancholy over here, or more excited over there.
Yeah, exactly. And so you end up having all these different feelings that you get from it, with it still being the same essential, series of notes.
Which makes sense, as I didn't even realize it so much. Quetcher was the first time I really noticed it, but I've discovered, doing research and this and that here, Uematsu's been doing this since, the earlier Final Fantasies too.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot of it in, 4, 5, and 6 actually have a ton of it too.
Yeah.
It's not as immediately obvious, but I think they even point out, in Final Fantasy VII, there are, Sephiroth's theme is actually hidden in a bunch of other things leading up to the final confrontation with Sephiroth that you may not notice, because he'll, slow it down, he'll spin it around, he'll do this and do that, where he'll make it sound really different until you actually go back and go, oh. So, it is definitely Final Fantasy tradition to do this sort of thing, but it is done really well in Heavensward. So, yeah, and you've got tons of zones, tons of quests. You can fly now.
I need to lodge a complaint about Heavensward, though. Speaking of all the zones.
Yes?
If you thought that you liked Moogles... If you thought that you liked Moogles with Final Fantasy, Heavensward would like to see your liking of them, and then attempt to change your mind. So many goddamn Moogles.
Okay, so there are a couple of zones where the quests get to be a little bit much. But it's 14 is such a weird Heavensward's a weird beast sometimes because there's not as many zones in Heavensward than there were in the main game, but all the Heavenswards are like double to quadruple the size
Huge.
of the other zones.
There are only a couple of new zones. Like, let me pull it up. I've actually got the game open right now. I can just look.
There's like 6 or 8 of them.
But they are much bigger, which makes initial exploration tricky because you can't fly right away.
Yeah, well, my point is, there's not that many new zones, but the zones are significantly bigger. They're roughly the size of, I would compare them to back when I played World of Warcraft in vanilla World of Warcraft. They're roughly about the same size as a zone in vanilla Warcraft, but there's so much more up and down to them. Like, because they know that you're going to be flying through these zones, they planned a whole bunch up on this tier up here, and this in a middle tier, on a tier down below everything.
And what they did to make sure that you cover all the inches of this is that you actually have to earn the right to fly around.
Which makes navigating through them at first a total bitch.
Sort of like, oh gosh, and depending on the zone, I'm really of two minds. Because for me, one of my favorite parts of the expansion was hunting out all the Aether spots, the Aether currents, to earn my chances to go fly.
Yeah.
Because it's a really fun thing where you get an item that when you click on it, it tells you how far you're away in general from something. And so you hop on your chocobo and you start rolling out, and you keep clicking on it, and it tells you more or less how hot or cold you are.
6 new zones. That was the answer.
Okay. And in some of the earlier zones, where you can literally walk everywhere, where the Aether currents are,
yeah,
it's fine. It's interesting. It's neat. The problem comes that there are 2 zones that are split, and it doesn't tell you if you're on the right side of that zone or not.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets annoying.
Yeah, that's where. Oh.
That's where it gets annoying. Like, that's where the one time I wanted to rage quit the game was in the Sea of Clouds.
Yeah, the Sea of Clouds where, like, I could tell that the Aether current, like, I could identify it on the map, but I couldn't get there because I didn't realize that in order to get to that point, I had to enter through the second exit, which doesn't open up until later in the storyline.
And what got me was that I thought I'd gotten all the first round of them, but it turns out I missed one. And so I'm on the second side, trying to find it, failing, getting really mad, only to realize that, wait a minute.
I bet that would be so annoying.
He was on the other side. But, except for those, everywhere else, you could walk everywhere. The other 4 zones, other 3 zones, it's fine. The last zone actually more or less walks you through everything.
Yes.
Where that's all done by the plot. And admittedly, like, there are quests that you can also take that gives you some of the Aether currents. And there's always a dungeon you have to go through to get the last Aether current. But man, by the time you're done with learning that zone and getting all the Aether currents, flying feels so good. Like, I hated the Sea of Clouds before I could fly.
Now you love it.
Now it's the most fun zone to fly because it's all these little interconnected little islands. And so it really, really makes use of that 3D space. And it is a lot of fun to just zoom around in and fly a flitter about to and fro. And it's fun. I
think Churning Mist might be my favorite zone. That is the one with the goddamn Moogles.
Yeah, even the developers were like, okay, so we might have went too heavy on Find the Lost Moogles quest.
Yeah, that is, when I say the goddamn Moogles, that is actually what I'm talking about, is that there were multiple quest chains where the point of every step of the quest chain was, here's a little group of Moogles that are like Moogle adventurers, except that they've all gotten lost from the leader and he needs you to go find his little helpers. And that's like at least 2 different quest chains And there's like 4 or 5 parts of each quest chain, so you are looking for those little, and just like other quest chains that are just like spread around the zone are, this Moogle has dropped some items while he was wandering around, so you've got to retrace his footsteps and find the things he dropped. And
what we're saying is that Moogles make great mail carriers, terrible adventurers.
Terrible
Adventurers.
It's sort of, I don't know, you get away from civilized society and apparently it's all Moogles.
Now, when the expansion first came out, they ramped, after the first 2 days, they ramped down, or actually I think it was after the first day, they ramped down the amount of XP that you get from Fates.
I think it might have started ramp down, actually.
No, it didn't, because I remember it.
Okay.
It happened to me. I remember when they ramped it down. Like, I think it was a day after it came out, they ramped it down. But now they have ramped it back up. And so now that the Fates are at their full XP-giving generosity, if you want to level up very, very quickly, the best place to do that is in the Churning Mists for below level, from level, 54 to 58.
Yeah, if you're playing this expansion for the first time, definitely get the majority of your experience from all the side quests they give you. Because they give you enough side quests.
Oh, you can get enough, well, actually, that is one of the problems with Heavensward, is that in the first game, you got enough XP just from doing the main storyline. If you just do the main storyline in Heavensward, you will eventually...
You will be lagging behind.
Yeah, you will eventually plateau, and you'll get to a point where you can't do the next quest until you're the next level up.
But they give you plenty of side quests to compensate for that.
Exactly. So, yeah, if you're leveling for your first time, definitely do the side quest route. But if it's your second class that you're leveling up, and you just need to do it fast, then yeah, fate grinding is still the most viable way. Unless you're a tank, and then you can just get into dungeons,
But maybe you don't want to feel like actually tanking. You just want to kill stuff, in which case, go do Fates.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of really interesting fate chains. Mm-hmm. Like, this fate leads to this fate if you do enough of this kind of fate. There's lots of all these, really interesting, trigger mechanisms that'll trigger different fates at different times.
And fates are in a general area... There'll be a big zone, a zone will be cordoned off in a circle where a fate will occur where it's a quest that sort of pops up that everyone can do and everyone needs to do together to complete it. And if you complete it, everyone gets experience and stuff. It is really nice. It sort of gives you easy co-op opportunities with other players without having to go into dungeons.
Mm-hmm. But there are several really nice ones that happen in Churning Mist, and Churning Mist has this weird dichotomy to it that you can do a screenshot of Churning Mist and it can look like the most butt-ugly thing in the entire expansion.
Yeah.
There's the most potential to just get, brown and gray rocks everywhere than anywhere else. And the entire rest of the expansion is just beautiful imagery after beautiful imagery. This is the one place that doesn't really look all that great. Except... at certain times of day.
Where then it looks stunningly beautiful.
Where it is amazing. If you move your camera to the right angle, the correct angle when the sun is in this position, you'll catch, this little, flower that they planted in there that'll just, be so stark and vivid against all the brown, and will completely echo the perfect blue that's in the sky just right, and it's an amazing zone of just tiny little discoveries.
Mm-hmm. And there's plenty of things because the further you get into this game, the more and more into the wilderness where people don't really go as much, and so you'll see a lot of evidence of where dragons used to live,
mm-hmm.
or where there'll be old ancient human encampments.
Mm-hmm.
And so all these zones also feel really well lived in sometimes.
Yeah.
It is really, really well planned out for all these places you go through. And all the dungeons are pretty fun too.
Oh yeah.
One of my favorite ones actually is, It's one of my favorites, but it's one that I like doing the least, which is the one where you have to go through the cathedral. Because
the vault.
The vault.
Yeah.
Where you're having to go through this cathedral and you're fighting enemies that one might fight in a cathedral. But it constantly, you're chasing somebody in the storyline, and the dungeon actually does a really good job of emulating that chase, where as you're going through it, it looks like there's nothing, but suddenly there's hordes of guards coming after you.
Yes.
Because they're trying to stop you as you're chasing somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And so it gives you it really does a really great example of, A, gives you the feeling that you're running through this chase, and you're constantly being stopped by all these hordes of enemies. B, it forces you to learn how to handle groups of enemies.
It does.
And what people like to call like big pulls, where suddenly you're handling like 6 or 7 enemies at once, when before you're probably used to handling like 2 or 4 at most.
Mm-hmm.
And so it sort of teaches you like raiding mechanics while higher level dungeon mechanics while you're still going through this leveling dungeon.
Yeah. But
there's also cool things where you get to fight dragons and other creatures, and it's good stuff. It's good stuff. And God, I want to say more, but I think by this point it's kind of like more spoilery stuff.
Well, I will make this complaint about Heavensward. Alexander Savage. I don't feel that this is a spoiler, because this is just kind of a thing that happens in the world. So, Alexander gets summoned at one point. Classic Final Fantasy summon is now one of, like, the primals that you fight. Only, Alexander is such a huge primal that you don't really fight him. You go inside of him, and you fight up his arm.
He's
right.
basically a giant robot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you fight on the interior of Alexander, and there are he's basically the new Coil of Bahamut. He's the new endgame raid dungeon.
Right.
Unfortunately, he's not all that fun.
I don't know, I found it kind of interesting.
No. He's fun for the level that we typically do,
mm-hmm.
but on the Savage level, he's not all that fun. A lot of it's because he's not really... He's hard, but not in a... He's hard, but it feels artificial. Like, it's not like he has just insane mechanics that only the hardest core and the most well-organized raid group will do. It's more like, it's a lot of the same of what you saw... Of what you saw at regular level, only a bajillion more XP. So it mostly gets to be just tiring and long and more of a test of endurance rather than anything else. Which is not what the rest of Final Fantasy has done. So that's kind of a gripe against their Savage, but again, there's 2 modes.
Right.
Like, to Alexander, there's the mode that, that pretty much once you get your end game gear, you can take on and you can do, and so you can see all of the content. But there's a more difficult level that...
Yeah.
Alright, well, I think we're going to take a break.
Well, non-spoilery, there is 3 whole new classes.
Oh, that's true. Oh, gosh. Right,
Did we not even talk about
we
that?
didn't talk about that. Yeah, alright, Kevin.
There are 3 whole new classes.
And I think you actually played more of these classes than either of us have.
Arguably? Boy, I still barely touched Machinist, but...
I know how they stack up.
I have played a little bit... Oh, what is the... Astrologian and the Dark Knight and the Machinist.
Yep.
I probably played more Dark Knight than anything, which I've still never really done a dungeon as a Dark Knight. But I like the storyline going on with Dark Knight. But they're another tanky class. They're weird compared to the other tanks. I don't know. I don't know if tanking to really go, and this is why it is different. But
well, I'm mostly coming from playing as a warrior. Warriors are freaking badass.
Right.
They've always been badass, but now they're
really badass.
Now they're really badass. So there's still kind of this dynamic that warrior is actually the tank that can do the most damage.
Mm-hmm.
While that was actually supposed to be Dark Knight's job, it turns out that when you actually put everything through the numbers and how it ends up working out, is actually that warrior still ends up being does the most damage tank class. Paladin still ends up you're better off going with more of like the HP soak and mitigation route.
Right.
It's going to be your most classic tanking.
Right.
Paladin's going to be your most classic tanking thing. And Dark Knight's this kind of weird in between. It has a lot of things that Warrior just doesn't have. Like, it has a much better AoE.
Yeah.
It has a much better AoE pull. It does more damage than Paladin. So it kind of ends up being like the middle guy, in my opinion.
I don't know, Dark Knight feels like more of it's a juggling act between actually causing aggro and sucking MP so you can keep using your other abilities.
Yeah.
But you get, giant awesome two-handed sword and, you get cool creepy black armor. It's fun.
Well, then there's Astrologian, which is the healer.
Right.
Or did you have a thought that you were going to add more about?
Not really. I've played Dark Knight more than anything, but it more or less feels like in between Paladin and Warrior. That's what I would have said.
Well, Astrologian is the new healer class.
Seems to live or die by how well you know what the buffs do.
Yes. Astrologian, the best way I've heard somebody else describe it is that it's sort of like playing your own personal little CCG within while you're playing an MMO. And so
the Astrologian draws cards.
So if you're not good with playing with cards or playing with pseudo CCGs, probably not going to be very good at Astrologian.
The Astrologian draws cards, and the cards have different effects. And you need to get real, kind of sort of how ninjas do their little magic hand jives to produce various effects. And like that, you need to know by sight, what they are and what they do, so you know who to use it on.
Astrologian, when the expansion first released, Astrologian was wildly underpowered. They have buffed it several times now, and now it can stand up and compete with Scholar and White Mage, but it means that you ultimately still have this problem where if you end up with a combination of two Astrologians, you're just not going to get as good healing as if you got an Astrologian and one of the other two classes, because the Astrologian depends so much on supporting all the other classes.
Right.
Whereas the White Mage still excels in just raw healing power.
Astrologian, at least, if you're in a group that's big enough that's going to be more than one healer, if you've got a full party, Astrologian is great if the other guy is some other kind of healer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a problem in most of your 4-man dungeons. Most of the 4-man dungeons, an Astrologian will heal just fine, especially if it's a Dark Knight. But in the 8-man things, like in the Trials and in Alexander, for example, 2 Astrologians is just not enough healing. Even because I don't really know how what is it called? Scholar even works anymore.
Very carefully.
I don't even know how Scholar even works anymore. All I know is that while I'm playing my White Mage, me and a Scholar are still a good team.
White Mage is best for just flat out healing. Scholar is kind of a little mix of healing and DPS because you got your little fairy heal bot.
Well, White Mage is now actually a lot of healing and DPS. If you're a White Mage and you're not DPSing, you're not doing it right. But that's because they've added so much that the White Mage can just go, and I blast healing, so now I can go blast some DPS. Yeah. And now I blast healing again. Like, the White Mage really has, like, a dance going on. I don't think Scholar has that. I think Scholar is much more of an anticipation game.
Like, they've got most of the Arcanists. They share a lot with the Arcanist and Summoner in terms of damage over time spells.
Yeah.
So it's like you can pop those on somebody and keep healing.
Yeah, so it's more anticipation based. It's more of, I know this is coming, so I'm going to go ahead and put this up.
Yeah.
Whereas White Mage is a little bit more reactionary.
And
then you have Machinist.
which sounds great on paper, and I've hardly played it.
Yeah. I don't really know much about
You
Machinist.
get a turret at some point. I haven't gotten far enough to get a turret.
Well,
They have guns.
they're basically like Bard. It's like Bard with a pet.
They have some similarities to Bard Archer in a lot of their abilities, yeah.
So
Except instead of having a jumping away attack, they have a knock you away attack.
So
well, they're even more. They're kind of even more support based than the Bard. One of the things about when you're playing a Bard, you have to really look at what are the other members of your party and kind of
choose what songs you use to buff the other party members.
Well, Machinist is kind of like that. Machinist is kind of like that, but even more so. Like, you have to alter your rotation depending on on who all is with you. I can talk more about how Black Mage has changed, though.
Well, I was actually about to say, is like, we really don't know Machinist, but we probably can talk about are the main classes that we play and how that's changed thanks to Heavensward. Like, for example, like White Mage, you're right, you've gotten
I've got
way more damage spells than I would have thought either, because I also have a 60 White Mage.
Mm-hmm.
And they give you another arrow, and you also have one of your spells is a size, which does both damage and healing at the same time.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's like super holy. Well,
it's not super holy.
It's not super holy, but it's kind of like a reimagining of holy. It gives you mana back.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you mana back. It refreshes quicker than Shroud of Saints, so you want to use it before you use Shroud of Saints. Like, I would probably use it earlier in the fight. It's still best to use it with a burst of damage, when a burst of damage comes, and it, depending on how you're spec'd, it can be a pretty sizable hit to the enemies. Like, if you want to clear out a whole bunch of little guys, like in your cleric stance, you can Assize Holy, 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 and that almost replaces.
Now, my question is, does whether or not your cleric stance, for one thing, lets you swap your mind and your intelligence level, so it more or less switches you from healing mode to damage mode.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're in cleric stance, does it affect how much damage you do versus healing with a size? So I'm guessing that if you have cleric stance on, you're doing damage. A size does less healing but more damage.
Right.
Is the reverse true? Okay.
Yes, that is true. So if you're not in cleric stance, it will heal more. So you really have to depend on what's going on. Like, especially in a raid situation, it's generally more useful to heal because you have enough people doing damage around you. But
yeah, I sort of find it funny because a lot of the new powers for ninjas are, if your party is doing things right, you never need, but are great when things go wrong. Like Smokescreen that lowers someone else in the party's aggro. And now I forget the one, what's called, that lets you divert like a sizable percentage of the aggro you're generating to another player, like, say, the tank.
Yep.
And, if anything, ninjas had a weakness of racking up aggro too fast sometimes. So that's occasionally helpful.
But, yeah. So that's my subclass, is White Mage. My main class is Summoner, but your main class is White Mage. But your other class you tend to play is Black Mage.
Ah, Black Mage. Yes.
So how does that go?
Okay, so Black Mage used to be the best AoE.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure bards would argue with me on that, but... So Black Mage used to be the best AoE.
Right.
But that's not really true anymore, because Black Mage didn't really get any new AoE spells. What Black Mage got is Black Mage got a lot more powerful single target spells.
Mm.
But the thing is that now there's this great this great ability called Enochian, or Enochian.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to keep Enochian
Up all the time?
Yeah, that's the thing. Your two big new spells, Fire 4 and Ice 4, won't work. They won't work unless Enochian is up.
Mm-hmm.
Now the bright side is that the ice spell refreshes Enochian. So if you switch into Umbral Ice form and you use and you use Blizzard 4, like, that will refresh Enochian, thus keeping it going. But it means that Black Mage is now very, it not only matters what order you cast your spells in, but it matters that those spells get off in time.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before, if I got knocked out of Astral Fire, that's that's going to be a hit to my DPS, but it's not a big deal it wasn't a big deal to just swift cast Fire 3 and just have it back up again.
Right.
Whereas now if I drop Enochian, I have to wait for Enochian to come back up, so it's really important that I get there and I do that. And if I'm in the middle of casting Blizzard 4 and I need it to go off in the next, I usually give myself 10 seconds, though that usually equates to only having 6 seconds to cast it.
Right.
If I have to move in the middle of that, I better have Swift Cast up so that I can immediately get it before it drops.
You give a little bit of space in Enochian to move around a little bit.
Yes, you do have a little bit. Ley lines is the other thing that Black Mage puts down, and you need to stay within the ley lines.
That's what I'm thinking of, is ley lines, yeah.
One strategy that I usually do a lot for ley lines is I put it down in the center of where I think I'm kind of going to be standing, but then I move off to one side so that if the enemy does target me and I need to move out of an AoE or something, I still have a little bit of wiggle room of where there's a safe place to move to. And that's a pretty standard tactic. But this basically means is that Black Mage more or less got tethered to a small area. Black Mage really can't move around as well as it used to. So Black Mage is tethered to a small area, and we don't do as good AoE damage. But oh my god, our single target damage. Like, we can just take out chunks of an enemy's hit points at a time. Like, if you're running with a Black Mage, and that Black Mage is any good, you can tell when they hit, because just a chunk of the DPS will just... And it's very satisfying. It's very satisfying.
I am sure, because for me it's kind of weird where summoners, which is what I play, going up to 50, we were terrible at AoE.
Mm-hmm.
We were not the AoE class. Everyone thought we were AoE class, but we weren't. Like, the best I could do was spread my dots around a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is very important, my damage over time, or dots, spells, are still one of my major forms of damage, but once you hit 50, you got this thing called Shadow Flare, which is more or less a big old dot you put on the ground. It's a big circle area effect. It looks cool, does damage, and suddenly it's like, oh, okay, well, I've got a little bit of AoE. They just kept adding that to Summoner for when you're 60.
Mm-hmm.
And the front of my game plan stays the same. I still hit all my things with dots. I hit my button, I believe it's called Bane, that spreads dots to everything around it.
Mm-hmm. And
then I cast Ruin. Well, now there is this thing, and I use stacks of Aether Flow to enhance my abilities, other special abilities. And what they did for 60 is now I do this stuff called Ethereal Attunement, where every time I use an ability that uses a stack of Aether Flow, I get a stack of Ethereal Attunement. And they give me a couple extra abilities. One is this thing called Pain Flare. Like, apparently, summoners have all the flares now.
Yeah.
Like, whereas Black Mage has Flare.
Yeah, we lost Flare.
Like, summoners now have all other sorts of flares. And so usually I'll throw down my Shadow Flare, I'll start my dots, and then there's this thing called, I believe it's Bane, that spreads all the dots around. Then I also have one, which uses an Aether Flow. So I get Ethereal Attunement from that. And then there is an ability called now Pain Flare, which is an AoE attack that uses a stack, so it gains a stack of attunement. And then you also, one of the things that used to be my big damage spell is a thing called Fester, which is, if I have all three of my main dots on something, I do a lot of damage.
Yeah, good old Fester.
That used to be my big damage spell, like that I would see a little chunk. But now, once I have 3 stacks of Ethereal Attunement, I can then summon the forces of Bahamut within me. And that gives me this, like, and so now I'm attuned, and I can now go under this sort of trance thing that has a name, but I don't pay attention to things. And so I hit this button, I go into my Bahamut trance, and one of the other abilities they did give me was a Ruin 3 spell. Ruin's my basic damage spell. Ruin 3 is really cool. It hits way harder. Looks like this Itano Circus style, like, magical missile train that flies around and shoots into the enemy. It looks really cool. But it takes a ton of MP. A ton, like 1,000 MP per attack. Unless I'm on my Bahamut trance. Then it costs as much as a Ruin 1. And so I can just keep casting that Ruin 3 over and over and over again until it runs out. But at 60, you get this ability called Death Flare, which is this high potency AoE attack. It looks like this big old blue column of light. It looks like a satellite, like laser strike.
You know, for a long time, Derek kept asking, "What is that ability you keep doing?" Because he thought it was like a cleric ability when it was your ability.
Yeah. It's this awesome thing that you actually get to use in the storyline. Spoilers, you get to, like, kill an Ascian. Like, where you discover up leading to killing an Ascian is supposed to be this impossible thing. It's a little guy, but I was able to do it, like, myself. And it feels awesome. And admittedly, it does not do as much damage as, like, one of the major, like, super black mage attacks do. But it's the most damage I've ever done as a summoner. And so, and it's also an AoE. So, suddenly, I went from this no AoE job into, like, one of the AoE jobs. And it still takes out chunks of HP when I get my death flares off right. And it's, and Doug's right, it's very satisfying.
It's very satisfying. Yeah, unfortunately at 60, as a black mage, I no longer go, boom, I just go, boom, 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 recharge, boom, 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 recharge.
Whereas for me, it's more like this weird, like, this back half mini game.
Yeah.
Where, alright, okay, so, I also have this thing called Try Disaster, which was now called Try Bind now, but Try Disaster now is what is a instant ability, costs no MP, and it has a cooldown, and it just gives me my top 3 dots at once. So, the mini game is now, okay, get the start the trance, throw the thing off, hopefully Contagion hits from a pet, doubles that, because you get a damage bonus when you're under the Bahamut trance. And you do everything so you can then pull off your Death Flare, then keep that train rolling. Like, if I do it right, I will have the Death Flare will hit when my Aether Flows come back to add another stack for them to use.
Yeah.
And so it's this really cool, like, it feels almost like a little, like, almost a personal RTS minigame. Where I'm constantly just trying to juggle everything just right to keep all my cooldowns rolling. And it's a fun game to play.
Yeah, other than the abilities that give you a little bit of aggro manipulation, Ninja is still largely about, I have a lot of abilities that have their own independent cooldown timer.
Yes.
So I can in a very short time throw out a lot of damage, but then I gotta wait for everything to recycle.
Yeah, that's what I've heard about Ninja, is that Ninja has a lot that's off the global cooldown timer.
Except for your weapon skills, almost everything's on its own independent cooldown. Almost everything, and you have your little ninja hand jive,
and
can speed up, which the best one is to use is to speed up your attacks.
I have no idea how Monk Lancer and not Lancer, how Monk Dragoon, and Bard all really changed.
Bard makes you a little more stationary.
Yeah, Bard has the same stationary problem that Black Mage got.
Monk's new ultimate ability looks awesome, but I don't know how effective it actually is.
Oh, me and Basil were talking. One thing that's kind of interesting about the Black Mage Summoner dynamic is where we are likely to pull things off the tank now. It used to be the more I cast, the more I was likely to pull off the tank, but now that's not really true so much. It seems like the longer the fight goes, the less likely I am to pull it off the tank. But if I get it right at the beginning, the tank can't ever get it back from me. Whereas, Basil, you were saying that your aggro builds more.
builds up more as time goes on, because I am constantly doing damage at some point.
Yeah.
Like, there's never a point where I'm not dealing damage somehow because of my dots.
Yeah.
And if I've discovered that before I hit 60, there was another dot I had forgotten about using. That is I thought I had read it such that it was just the same dot I already use, but it spreads that dot out.
Yeah.
But I was already using that dot and spreading out with Bane, so I didn't need to do it again.
Oh.
No, and it turns out it's an entirely separate dot.
Oh.
Where I believe it's called Miasma 2, and it does this little miasma dot that's not affected by anything else. Like, it will get doubled with the contagion that my pet does. Doubles all my dots every minute or so. But it's an AoE dot. So what I have to do is I throw my Tri-Disaster at that target I want, wait for the contagion to hit, so it doubles those dots. I spread those doubled dots out everywhere. Then I hit my Miasma 2, so now I have 4 dots on it. Then I throw my Shadow Flare. Because it's also its own separate thing.
Yeah.
So therefore, I have 5 dots running right now at all times before I start my, at this point, that's when I probably have hit my other 2 things. I'm now casting my thing to do my Death Flare.
Yeah.
And usually by this point, and because it's all AoE attack, if the tank is not handling their multiple mobs right.
Yeah, then you will slowly start to accrue.
Right, because I am doing damage to everything at all times. Like, one of our friends of ours, goes by Sylphion, it sometimes drives me up a wall. Because sometimes we'll be in a dungeon and he'll want to take a single thing. He'll just want to attack one mob, and I'm like...
Sylphian has not been playing for as long as we have.
Well, it's true, but the thing is that...
Maybe started 2 weeks before the expansion came out?
Well, he is caught up really fast.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is what I'm saying is that we have... Whereas we have, a year or more of experience with knowing how the game works, he's made up for it in a very short amount of time, and he's read a lot of tutorials, and so what he's trying to do is he's trying to apply thoughts and theories that people have had pontificating about how to properly play this class, about how this works. And so he's trying to take that book learning.
Right, well...
And apply it. And sometimes he's right, and sometimes he's wrong.
Well, in this case, I'm sure this is fine for any other class.
Yeah.
But for me, the way I play, the way I deal my AoE damage, it's entirely wasted for the next fight we do.
Yeah.
Because he's fighting this one single enemy. It's one single mob. And my plan is to do my maximum damage, I need a group of enemies around me.
Yeah.
Around him. And I know that right beyond him, he's going to do a big pull. It's this one enemy and then a big pull.
Yep. And
he could just throw that enemy along with the big pull. I know he can.
Yeah, I yelled at Barry about doing that exact thing, about the want to be a cautious tank, to go, okay, I know I won't die if I take on this one mob and then do the group of 3 over there, but if you just go ahead and do the group of 4, your DPS will be so much happier, and they'll actually get all of the mobs down faster than...
Yeah, because for me, it's a case of when we do this one mob, I know my contagion is going to go off on this mob.
Yeah.
It's going to double its dots on this mob, but by the time we're done with this mob, by the time we get to that second group, that won't have... it'll be 30 seconds. I'll also have another 30 seconds left to go before my dots double again. And so suddenly, my ability to do all my damage is cut by a third or half. And so it's just one of those things where it's no, just give me my groups. Which before I had all this, I would have cared.
Well, you know how I was telling you about with Black Mage, where you really have to... It's not only important that you do everything in the right order, but you also have to do it in the right order and within the right time frame. There's nothing to me that is more frustrating than if a tank is refusing to do the large pull. Well, he doesn't have to do the large pull. If he's refusing to do the medium pull.
Right.
He's refusing to do the medium pull and insisting on doing these small pulls. Because if you're doing, the smaller the pull is, the more chance that I'm going to run out of Enochian between pulls. You know, if I'm able to take this out in a single cycle of fire and ice, I'm not going to have enough time to use Blizzard 4 again and get Enochian back up by the time he runs to the next group of mobs. That's just how they're spaced out. So it's almost always much more beneficial for me as a black mage if he at least gets like 6 or 7 mobs, you know, whatever the average of 2 groups is. That's usually what ends up working out better for me.
Alright, now we are going to take a break, because we've been talking for a bit, and I need to see how much time we've got left to even fit in spoilers. We might have already gone too long. There's so much to talk about in this game. So, we're going to take a break, and we'll come back, and we'll see what we got. This is the Okay, so that was like an hour, or thereabouts, like 40 minutes to an hour of just straight up talking. And
so can we just go ahead and call ourselves a Final Fantasy XIV podcast now?
No, because we just more or less did like an hour, 5 or 6 episodes of Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward minutes in a row.
Fine.
No, we still like other things.
It's true.
And you've said it yourself. We've got to do a Rick and Morty podcast.
We do. We need to do a Rick and Morty podcast.
Like, once Weirmageddon's over, we got to do a Gravity Falls podcast.
Yep.
We still got to do our Garo podcast. Kevin and I, we're still committed to a Gundam Build Fighters podcast. No. We cannot be just a 14 podcast. The people need more from us.
Okay.
And we have to step up to the challenge.
Fine.
Because we're not just a 14 podcast, you'll eventually be able to do a segment all about red pandas.
Yay! All about red pandas?
Yeah.
Red Panda Cast.
Look, next year there's going to be an April.
Okay, I'm going to have so much information for you about red pandas. It is going to be educational and informative.
Will it be fun?
Maybe.
Okay.
Panda.
So, yes. So, sorry folks, no spoilers for 14. If you want spoilers, let us know. We can still record a spoiler cast for 14. That's not a problem.
Spoilers. The Pope is evil.
Yes, it's a Japanese role-playing game. That's about as given gets. But
I'm still waiting to find out if Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge Pope is evil. He might be. He's in the new Tales game. I don't know if Martin's evil or not, but I bet money he is.
Okay, so if you want to play with us in Final Fantasy XIV, we are on the Leviathan server.
In the Primal Stack sector?
Yeah, in the Primal
Clump
World Hub.
Yeah. Pretty much you choose Primal, then from Primal you choose Leviathan. Now,
And
the trick is...
Create your character in the morning.
In the morning, before 9 or 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. If you do that, send me a tweet. Let me know you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get you in. I'll send you a direct message. I'll friend you. We'll figure out our characters' names, and we'll get you in. We've got an awesome free company. We play all the time.
Well, you guys play all the time. I'm waiting for new story.
Well, you're going to get it on the 12th. Possibly the day after this thing releases.
We've got a house that doesn't sound like a big thing, but it is.
We got 4 airships, folks. 4. Most free companies, which are like more or less guilds, still only have like 2, maybe 3. But we got all 4.
Yeah, there's one free company that was advertising that it has like 10 airships, but none of the airships are as high level as our airships. Barry was, for a period of time, on the cutting edge of airshipness. Like, he was contributing to information known about how to airship. But since then, he's played Metal Gear Solid, and I think he fell behind on that. I don't think he's not so cutting edge anymore. But
the lure of rocket punches and squirt guns took him away.
It happens. Metal Gear's really good, y'all. But anyways, so yes, that's how you can find us. Another avenue, if you don't want to tweet at me, which, by the way, it's Basil time on Twitter. Kevin's at twitless_Kevin.
I exist.
The OSMcast Twitter's at OSMcast. But also, this has been a production of the OSMcast from the OSMcast. Edited by Anna of the OSMcast.
hey, say AwesomeCast some more.
OSMcast!
OSMcast! OSMcast!
Cast awesome. Oh,
Awesomecast.
dang gummit. OSMcast.
You know, we didn't even talk about crafting or gathering or
Don't
fishing.
Don't worry, there are future Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward minutes.
Tell us what minutia of Final Fantasy XIV you'd like to hear us ramble about for an hour.
Because we will.
Because I can.
But also, again, awesomecast.com. Please like us, subscribe to us. We're still not on iTunes. I still don't know why. I really don't know why we're on iTunes. I even switched to Simplecast. So the RSS feed's even completely different. It's hosted by someone else, not on the website. It cannot crash. I don't know what's up. But whatever, iTunes.
iTunes is the devil.
You suck. Like us on Stitcher. Tell friends. That would be great, because we're already hampered by lack of an iTunes feed. There's nothing I can do about that. I've tried. So anyways, we're the AwesomeCast. Thank you for listening. Again, any comments, let us know. We'll take it all into consideration. Nothing goes unheard. Sometimes no, not even unread. I tend to read everything. So, yeah. Thank you all very much. It's been like 2 hours and change. This is a big one. Didn't realize how big it was, but then again, it's been a while since we podcasted.
Yep.
So, I love you, Anna. I'm sorry it's so long. Please don't hate me. And we're out.
If you meet the elf pope on the road, you punch him in the face. Just don't punch the actual pope. He's mostly
the actual
a nice
pope
guy.
is pretty good.
But he's also not like an elf.
Yeah, that's your first
helps.
clue. If he's not an elf, don't punch
You
him.
probably have not been sold by
He
him.
also was not made by Japan.
Right.
It's true. Now, if Japan makes a pope, you're going to be sold by him. And you're going to feel that you've been sold by the pope.
And you'll want to see the contract.
That's true. You do. I mean, it's just that's common sense, folks.
Hans!
Even Donald Trump knows you got to see the contracts we're dealing with elf popes
Yes.
from Japan.
Been sold by the pope.
All right, now it's been the OSMcast.
It's yokai life. Gonna do the dance cause we're lazy as hell. Yokai life.